If there's one thing that defines SpaceX, it's the courage to imagine what others call impossible, and then actually do it. The Raptor engine isn't just another milestone in rocket science. It's the story of a company that refused to accept limits. At the start of the video, we dive into how SpaceX constantly shatters expectations, taking wild ideas that seem like science fiction and turning them into metal, fire, and thrust. The narrator draws the audience in with the bold question: how do you reinvent something as established as a rocket engine? As the camera moves through the glint of steel and the roar of engines, the voice explains that the Raptor isn't just an upgrade to old designs. It's a clean break from the past. It's SpaceX taking a bet that radical innovation, not safe iteration, is what will make humanity multiplanetary. The section ends by teasing the mystery behind this transformation. To understand the Raptor's genius, you have to go back to where it all began, with a simpler engine called Merlin. The story rewinds to the early 2000s, when SpaceX was a struggling startup with a dream that few took seriously. Elon Musk had poured his own fortune into what many thought was destined to fail. The narrator paints this part with energy and urgency. SpaceX engineers working long nights in a cramped warehouse, building their first rocket engine, the Merlin. This wasn't about perfection, it was about survival. The Merlin used RP-1 kerosene and liquid oxygen, running on an open gas generator cycle that vented exhaust into the air, simple, proven, and above all, cheap. The narrator explains how this minimalistic design became SpaceX's backbone. The first successful Falcon 1 launch depended on it, followed by the Falcon 9 and the heavy-lifting Falcon Heavy. The Merlin was the underdog's engine, built to do the impossible on a shoestring budget. It didn't look pretty, but it worked, and that's what mattered. But the voice lowers slightly. What happens when your dream grows bigger than your old tools can handle? The scene fades, setting up the question that pushes us forward. The narrator returns with momentum. SpaceX's next ambition wasn't just another rocket. It was the Starship, a fully reusable vehicle meant to take hundreds of people to Mars and back. Suddenly, the Merlin wasn't enough. Its design philosophy, cheap, simple, expendable, couldn't sustain rapid reuse or interplanetary travel. The voice explains that Starship demanded an engine that could ignite multiple times per day, handle extreme stress, and run cleanly without hours of maintenance. Elon Musk set a new mission statement for his team: build the most advanced rocket engine ever made. And this wasn't hyperbole. It meant rethinking everything: fuel choice, combustion cycle, and manufacturing methods. The narrator underscores the weight of that challenge, not to tweak what worked, but to reinvent it. Viewers are told that this is where the story takes a radical turn, because SpaceX's next move wasn't just bold, it was controversial. They were about to switch to a fuel no major rocket company had ever used before. The narrator introduces methane like a character in the story, unfamiliar but powerful. Instead of the thick, sooty kerosene that powered rockets for decades, SpaceX engineers chose methane, a clean-burning fuel that burns cold, pure, and efficient. The voice explains that methane offers a crucial advantage. It leaves no soot behind, meaning no buildup inside the engine, no endless cleaning, and no delays between launches. In a future where rockets are expected to launch, land, refuel, and fly again within hours, this detail is everything. The narrator adds another layer. Methane isn't just better for reusability, it's the fuel of Mars itself. One day, SpaceX could make methane directly on the red planet, turning Martian air and ice into propellant. That single decision, switching to methane, wasn't just engineering foresight, it was a declaration of intent. SpaceX wasn't building a rocket for Earth, they were building one for the solar system. The voice closes the section with quiet intensity. Changing fuel was only step one. What came next would push rocket science beyond anything humans had ever attempted. Now the pace quickens as the narrator breaks down one of the most complex mechanisms ever built: the full-flow, staged combustion cycle. It sounds intimidating because it is. The voice explains that in a normal rocket, only one side of the propellant, either fuel or oxygen, is partially burned to drive the turbine that powers the pumps. But the Raptor doesn't settle for half measures. It burns both sides in separate pre-burners, using two turbines that work in perfect synchrony. The narrator describes the intricate dance of pressures, flows, and temperatures, painting it as an engineering ballet where even a fraction of imbalance can cause disaster. Everything is contained. No waste gases, no exhaust vents, making Raptor a closed system that squeezes every bit of energy from its propellant. This section builds tension, emphasizing how incredibly delicate this system is. A whisper of misalignment could melt steel. Yet, SpaceX pulled it off. The voice ends with awe. By mastering this cycle, Raptor achieved efficiency numbers so high that Elon Musk once joked, "Only God could do it better." Here, the narrator raises the stakes even further, describing the Raptor's raw, almost unthinkable performance. With a chamber pressure reaching around 300 bar, 3 times higher than the Merlin, it stands as the most advanced operational rocket engine ever built. The voice paints the contrast vividly. A Raptor engine is small enough for one person to stand beside, yet powerful enough to lift over 230 metric tons of thrust at sea level. Each one weighs about 1.6 tons, giving it an unmatched power-to-weight ratio. The audience can feel the scale. 33 of these engines packed into the base of a single booster, working in perfect coordination, their exhaust plumes merging into one thunderous column of fire. The narrator balances the wonder with a hint of danger. Pushing pressure this high leaves no room for error. But that's what makes Raptor extraordinary. It's not just strength, it's precision under chaos. And SpaceX isn't stopping there. The voice teases what's next. Even more simplicity, faster production, and a drive to make perfection repeatable. The tone shifts slightly, fascination blended with respect for the process. The narrator explains that SpaceX's engineers are now refining Raptor 2, removing parts, integrating pipes, and redesigning connections to make production faster and cheaper. Elon Musk's mantra echoes through the section. The best part is no part. Every time a component is deleted or merged, the engine becomes lighter, more reliable, and easier to build in volume. The camera metaphorically zooms into the details, the smoother housings, reduced bolts, and streamlined wiring. The narrator describes how SpaceX even changed how the engines start. External spin-up systems built into the launch mount itself, turning the entire pad into a living part of the rocket's ignition process. It's not just a launch pad anymore. It's stage 0 of the mission. The section ends on a note of admiration. By simplifying what was once impossibly complex, SpaceX isn't just building rockets faster. They're building the foundation for something much bigger, a production line for the future of space travel. The narrator's voice softens but carries weight, pulling the audience into the future that all of this effort points toward. Thousands of starships, each powered by dozens of Raptor engines, flying between planets as routinely as planes cross the sky today. This isn't distant fantasy. It's the logical conclusion of everything SpaceX is building. The voice reminds us that behind the metal, the pressure, and the fire lies a purpose: to make life multiplanetary. The Raptor engine is not just hardware. It's a symbol of what's possible when ambition meets engineering. As the story closes, the narrator poses a final, reflective question. If SpaceX truly succeeds, will the Raptor be remembered as just an engine, or as the spark that began humanity's next great leap? The music swells, the visuals fade to the silent stars, and the story ends not with closure, but with wonder, leaving viewers inspired, curious, and ready to hit replay.